Before the certifications, consulting business, and public recognition, who was Danny when nobody was paying attention?
Danny was a mother. She was a nurse, living and working in New Orleans, living what I thought was my dream, working at Baptist Hospital, feeling like I had done it until that day came and the schedule came out. I was scheduled to work on Thanksgiving, and I had a moment. Boss, you made a mistake on the schedule. You have me scheduled for Thanksgiving. She says, you work in the hospital now. Hospital is not closed. You have to work.
Right.
And I said, but wait a minute. What about New Year's? This is New Orleans. What about Mardi Gras? Yeah, you're probably going to have to work that too. Oh, no. So right then I recognized that this situation is a violation of my life. This is not how I want it's not how I want to live my life. Now, I love nursing more than anything in me, but these shifts, that's not adding up. I'm going to have to look for something else or another way or somehow, because this is not going to work. And when you are a new nurse and you work in the hospital, they tell you you have to get a year or two experience. You've heard it before? See, that's not real. That's not real. Because what was really happening with me at the time was, no, I need to be available to my children, and I want to be home during the holidays.
Yeah.
So this is not going to be the life for me. And so I bucked the system, and I looked for other ways to get out. And when I did that, I was told, oh, you're going to fail. You're not going to do well because you're walking away from bedside.
Right.
Before you had your 2 years of nursing experience. Well, that walk away got me 75% increase in my pay. See how you look? That's how they was looking. Take that. I walked away because my values and what I wanted for my family structure was more important. So that's who I am. Danielle Renee Jenkins, now CEO of Nursing and Style Consulting.
Okay, period.
There you go.
So what happened in your life that made nursing feel like more than a career choice?
There was a lot of different things that happened. Let me see which one I want to hone on the most. When I was working for a home health agency, loving it, I was controlling my schedule, enjoying my life. But then there was a point that I realized I didn't like the way things were being delivered. And I can do that much differently. And I can have a sense of ownership. And so from there, I recognized I can do way more with nursing. We had a client that had a port, and nobody knew how to flush the port. That's a Metaport. I'm an oncology nurse, so I thought everybody knew how to do that.
Yeah.
And I found out very quickly, no, people don't know how to do that. That's when I recognized I had a gift. I had something that was different. And I level set and put the infusion nursing program in that organization, and it took off. This is about to be something amazing. This is me about to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
This is me recognizing that this is way more.
Wow. So was there a moment in your nursing career when you realized that being hardworking was not enough to protect you, promote you, or properly compensate you?
You can work as hard as you want to work. You just have to remember this. When you're on a job, it's like you're a renter, right? So you're in a house and you want to redecorate the house. You're a renter. You can't come up here and put up your color walls and knock down things and make all of these changes. And so I recognized pretty early on, I don't want to be stuck this way. I want to create my own opportunities and my own boundaries and take away all of those limitations.
I agree.
You agree?
Yes, 100%.
Who told us that we had to have, who told us that we can only get from this much to this much? Let's say your job, you came in, you were making 15 and they said the ceiling is at 22.
Yeah, that's the maximum.
Right. And then people get to 22 and they just stay there.
For years. Oh, I'm going to retire here.
But why?
With what?
Who told you that that was the max that you can make in your life? And there are many people, nurses, many people that are stuck because they feel like
that's the top.
Thank you.
Yeah. I understand that. And nurses are often celebrated as heroes, but many are still overworked, overlooked, and emotionally exhausted. Is calling nurses heroes sometimes a convenient way for the industry to avoid addressing how they are treated?
That's a tricky question. That was
Gotcha.
tricky. That was tricky. So during 2020, nurses were called heroes, right? We had the biggest outpour of how amazing nurses are. You know, people realize how we the stuff.
Yeah,
okay?
911.
Thank you. We created all the opportunities on how to run those lines across. We did all of that. But I'll say today, you can't wait for somebody to celebrate you. So as nurses, we have to know our worth. We have to know we are the heroes, but we're not going to allow people to continue to use us in these hero roles.
Right.
You have to know your value and don't wait for somebody to give you a cape. Put your cape on, keep your cape on, and when somebody try to remove your cape, you know the cape is there. So I wear invisible capes every day.
I'm going to start saying I wear invisible capes every day.
Thank you.
You know, if you don't believe you're a hero, how can you let somebody else call you one?
There you go.
So why are so many nurses trained to become labor driven instead of knowledge driven?
So that question was tricky too. Y'all got me. Because nurses and doctors are trained the exact same way.
Really?
Right? I won't say no names, but when we go back to it, how is this whole work system set up? A lot of people would train to go to work in the factories, to go to work for somebody else, to go to work. Everybody was trained to go to work. Did you take entrepreneurship in college?
Nope.
Did you see that as an option?
Nope.
Okay. So many people were trained to go get a job, show up, work within that parameter, be happy, get your white picket fence, and you should be okay. How's that dream working for you?
It's exhausting.
Yeah. I hear a lot of people say, and I say, good morning. They said, I said, how you doing? I'm living a dream. What does that really mean? What does living the dream for you really mean?
Right.
So lots of people, that's what they were trained. So now for nurses that are recognizing that they have transferable skills, they're seeing that these are amazing opportunities. I had one nurse that was working for me. She never thought that she can own the business. She was working night shifts, and then she needed extra money. She was putting her daughter through college. She was working in retail, and I was like, why is the nurse working in retail? Well, to get those extra shifts in the hospital were 12-hour shifts. She couldn't do a whole 12. She needed to do something that was a 4-hour or 8-hour. But the money translation didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I asked her, have you ever considered starting your own business? And she said, no.
That's foreign language.
There you go. And I said, you know, I can train you and teach you how to start your own. I've done my own. I can teach you this. I said, but you got to be willing to show up and do the work. And once I see that you're serious, we can get this going. And so she came back to me again and she said, I'm ready. I said, okay, show up at my house. Now, we're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Dallas is big.
Right.
She lives in Fort Worth. I'm going to train you. I'm going to test you. I live in McKinney. Let's see how this happens. She was committed. She showed up. She did the work. And that's been over 14 years. And she's a successful home health agency owner. And I asked her, I said, would you go back to doing what you were doing before? She said, no. I don't know how I ever just allowed myself to live in these circumstances doing these little things. I could have been doing this so long ago. And she's like, the freedom, the opportunities, right? As she's taking me to lunch, right? Yeah. And so, yeah, she would never be the same. But because she never had anyone to just poke the bear and say, hey, have you ever considered starting your own? Have you ever considered that you can do something different? Much like the story you shared with me, where you were thrown in.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to. You have to be thrown in water. I'm not going to jump in it. You got to push me.
Why?
I wasn't going to jump in it.
Why
but
you
now,
going to jump in? What was in the water?
Fear.
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 Fear. Fear. You know what I tell people? Fear is a friend that you don't need. Fear is that friend that keeps showing up saying, you're going to be all right. You safe. You good. Right? Fear will never allow you to become all that God has called you to be.
Yeah. Fear will have you settling.
It's really sad. It's really sad that many will not reach their potential because of the friend called fear. And every day, this nurse is very grateful that someone took an opportunity to believe in her and tell her that there's something different that she can do. And now she employs nurses all over the DFW area.
Wow. So when does being a dedicated nurse cross the line into allowing a system to take advantage of your compassion?
That's not having boundaries. So dedicated nurses, and nurses are very dedicated people, very, very people with lots of empathy. I've seen nurses work 12-hour shifts. Supervisor comes to them and said, I need you to work another one. That's a double. You see it on television shows all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a day.
There you go. I've seen it on ER shifts. Television shows. I've seen it many, many times. Like what you see in these TV shows, that's what really be playing out with people working these shifts. 16-hour shifts, 18-hour shifts, ridiculous. Neglecting ourselves. But lack of boundaries is the reason why that continues to happen. And a lot of times a nurse doesn't even wake up and realize what's happening. You're in a perpetual cycle of saying yes. That's abuse to your body. The first time I was working in a hospital many years before, and I started getting these funny pings in my body, and I was like, what is going on? I went to the doctor. It's like, you got a UTI. I was devastated. And so I went back and I talked to my fellow nurses, and they said, it'll be okay. That won't be your last UTI. See your face?
Why not?
Right. Because you're taught to neglect yourself. Patient is first. Work them 16 hours. You want extra money? Work night shifts. Well, caller, I'm asleep by 10. 9:30, don't even bother to call me. So how do you think I did on the night shift? I suffered. I didn't do well. I mean, that was how you make an extra differential pay.
Yeah.
So it's a quick bump.
Yeah.
That don't work for people like me. I fell asleep at the red light on my night shift. I'll never forget it. Somebody blew the horn and was trying to get my attention because they saw I was asleep. I could have killed me and all of those that were around me. And when I made it home that day and I said, thank you, Lord. And I said, that's a wrap. This is ridiculous. And so what we found out is when you are not getting adequate sleep, it's worse than drunk driving.
Really?
Look at the stats. So when you work in 16-hour shifts,
right,
day in and day out, who's really there taking care of you? You got a zombie nurse sitting there in front of you. You just don't know it. You got zombie doctors in front of you that's pulled a 24-hour shift in the emergency room. And we don't pay attention to this in healthcare. And those are the people that's taking care of us. We got diabetic nurses that haven't done their own blood sugars, standing over you, sweating, blood sugars through the roof.
Right.
That means you're not even thinking as clear. That is the crazy system that we have.
At what point did you recognize that your experience and knowledge could become a business instead of remaining something you only gave to an employer?
That time that patient that had that port and nobody knew how to flush it. And I implemented the infusion nursing program. Yeah. And that company grew. And then I went to the next company and nobody knew anything about infusion nursing. And I implemented that program and wrote the policies and that company grew. And then I went to the next company and I did the same thing. And then I woke up and said, that's a wrap. I think I got this. I think I realize now that every company I go to, I help to increase their revenues tremendously and I can see it. It's time for me to now start my own. So I remember one of my colleagues came to visit. Her name was Jan. So Jan, if you're watching, I thank you all the time. Thank you. She knows who she is. Thank you, Jan. And I told Jan, and I'm a person of my word. And so when Jan came to visit me and I was a director of nursing at this particular agency, she said, you should start your own agency. I said, I am. Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And she said, I'm going to make a phone call and help you get your first contract if you do it. Game on. She got me my first big contract. So unlike other nurses, when I started my home health agency, I had clients right away. because I made a bold move when
Right.
she said you should do it. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna do. I already knew I knew how to do it. I'm a director of nursing. I'm running the
Right.
organization.
You had a plan. You just needed the platform.
Yeah, and sometimes you do need that person to just challenge you
Yeah.
and just say,
You
you
can
know,
be-
kind of
yeah.
a dare.
You can be
know
in
the
your
dare?
head. You can be
Yeah.
in your head all the time. You just need somebody to say that out loud. Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in Louisiana, at the time that I was considering just a little bit, there was a moratorium on home health at that time in Louisiana, which meant that you got to buy it from somebody. That's going to cost you a couple of six figures. I didn't have a couple of six figures.
Right.
And so in Texas, there was no moratorium on home health at the time. And I had people approaching me, asking me about starting a business together with them, but Kyla, they didn't show up on time. I'm their boss, and you don't show up and turn your notes in on time. You make excuses. I got patients calling in complaining. I don't want to do business with you,
Right.
because if you sloppy as an employee, you're probably gonna be sloppy when you're the owner.
Yeah.
It's not going to change.
Yeah.
And so all of those scenarios, and thank you for Jan, gave me my courage to go do it. So I did. I jumped out there. Single parent, just went through a divorce, living in a new city, and decided we about to do this. Told my kids, hey, buckle up. This is what we
Let's
gonna
take a
do.
ride.
If we do this and y'all support me on this, then we gonna take vacations anywhere in the world that we want to go, and we gonna live life on our terms. My kids say, let's do it, mama. And they did. And we traveled the world. And I made them speak and do all type of events during my home health, Christmas events, etc. And I took my kids along the ride with me.
I like that. What was harder for you? Becoming clinically competent? Becoming clinically competent? Or believing you were qualified to lead, consult, and charge for what you knew?
I think the latter, believing I can charge for what I know. So clinically competence comes easy for nurses, right? Because once you do something so many times, like you got this, right? But that charging for that was another story. So when I first came here to Dallas, I ended up working for a home health agency. I'm going to call it in the hood.
Yeah.
Y'all know that part of town in Dallas. Y'all call it hood. And you're going to get me in trouble. Be good.
Okay, I'm trying. I can't help it.
But anyway, I was working at this particular agency. Like they had little rats just run across the room every now
No
and then.
problem.
You know, this was normal for this person. And I was thinking to myself, I'm going to have to help this lady get this business bigger. This was before I owned my own.
Right.
We got to get out of here. But long story short, she had a consultant that was working for her. That consultant later became my mentor. I call her my mother of nursing. And remembering I was writing down $25 an hour, then 35, and then 40. And then I was just, my next goal was to get to 50 an hour. Now this was over 25 years ago, right? I just wanted to get to 50 an hour. No, not 25 years ago, about 21 years ago. And I'm sitting there, and my mother of nursing, Tony, she's passed away now. And she says, you know a lot of stuff about this home health. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, you ever thought about being a consultant? Yeah. I didn't know how to do that.
Right.
I mean, the consultant that I like and admire, she rolled up on a private plane, and I've been trying to figure out how to do that ever since. All right. So I was like, yeah, how you do this? And so she took me from $50 an hour to $75 an hour like that. Right? Right. And I was going to charge one of the clients $50 an hour because that's what I was making on the job, right? So you think that you translate it that way, but when you are in the ownership role, get rid of that hourly mentality. So she taught me that. And so I started getting more and more clients, $75 an hour, and I was feeling amazing, right? I was like, yeah, I did that. And I left that hospital in less than 2 years. And y'all talked about me. But long story short, I would check in with my mentor from time to time, and she said, how you doing? I said, I'm doing really well. I got this many clients. It's been keeping me really busy. And she says, how much are you charging them an hour? I said, 75. She said, oh, I'm at 90. What you waiting for? Right. See that look? That was over 21 years ago. I was like, oh, right.
Let me catch up. Hold on.
Right. And then it took me a moment, right? Because I was like, okay, so my next client I got to present, because I was making a difference. I mean, I took one client and they were getting ready to have their doors closed. Really bad situations.
Right.
We turned that thing all the way around, got their
360.
license reinstated. This was a multi-million-dollar home health agency.
When people hear your full story, what do you want them to stop tolerating, start believing, and finally do next?
I want you to believe that you are more than the next shift. I want you to believe and to know that there is no ceiling. There is no ceiling. Someone told us that some time ago and we believed it. There is no ceiling. The only ceiling is the ceiling that's in your mind. So if there is something that you've wanted to do, get with a mentor, get with someone who's done that before and do it. Once you know that you can begin to live the life that you truly desire, it's a game changer. But to die and to never know your full potential, it's really sad. So that's what I want nurses to know.
Okay. And do nurses sometimes hide behind additional degrees and certifications because building a personal brand, asking for money, and becoming visible feels more uncomfortable?
Y'all wrong for that question. y'all just straight wrong for that question. Because us nurses like our commas. However, yes, there are some nurses. I don't think that they know that they're hiding behind their commas because in our world and in TikTok, it teaches you to go get all of these commas, right? But I think there's nothing sadder, and DNP nurses, forgive me for this, but you still working at the bedside in your regular RN role with a DNP behind you, you're not leveling up. Right? And so why go get all of these? I always tell people, if I go get a comma, somebody going to put a comma in my bank account.
Hello.
Okay? I'm not taking time away from my family, studying all of this stuff to go get a comma that ain't going to put a comma in a common place in my bank account. And so I don't know that I think that they just don't realize the true potentials of what they have. So when I meet nurse practitioners, I'm like, yes, you got your own practice?
No.
Well, I'm in a state where I can't have my own practice. All you need is a doctor that's going to support you. I don't know any doctors. Shoot.
Find one.
Go in a lounge, go sit in the hospital, go somewhere. I guarantee you're going to meet one. And so one of my favorite sayings is strangers stop at hello. So when I see you, I go, hello. I'm going to introduce myself. Because guess what? Life love boldness. The bold people always gets the answers. There was a study that was done on YouTube where a guy was just walking up to people, just asking them random questions. Like, can I stay by your house tonight? It was a funny story. But guess what? People were actually giving him money, actually saying, yes, you can sleep. Actually saying, yeah, you can do it. You have not because you ask not.
Closed mouth don't get fed.
There you go.
What relationships, habits, or beliefs did you have to outgrow to become the woman and business leader you are today?
Relationships and beliefs. Well, first and foremost, remember that friend that's called fear? I had to get rid of him. I can't do people who think little and who are fearful.
Okay.
Beliefs. One of the first beliefs that I had to get rid of was the ceiling. So once I got rid of the ceiling belief, that really helped me to become who I am today. And then taking the time to feed myself, to grow myself was imperative, because after nursing school, I didn't want to read not one book. I want no books of serious stuff. I just need things that make me happy, because school was stressful. But no, I really do take the time to pour into myself by reading books that keeps me thinking ahead. I continue to level up my mentors to figure out what else can I do to serve and how can I serve better. And I get around people who push me. It's really sad when someone has really strong potential, but nobody tells them and don't challenge them for something greater. I love the story that you shared when you got challenged to something greater. We need more of that. So once you get challenged to those levels, that really helps you to break some boundaries. So,
Gotcha. Then, have you ever had people support you as a nurse but become uncomfortable when you started positioning yourself as an authority?
That's a messy question. That's messy. I Yes, I did. I have one in particular. Yes, I can remember. It came to mind, and I don't even know if she's still alive. But you know who you are. You was a straight bully. But I came back and I told you that you bullied me. I was
boundaries.
I was a brand new nurse. I was a new nursing director. Remember, I became a director of nursing under 2 years of coming out of nursing school. This was a very seasoned nurse, very seasoned, had a lot of commas, and she worked under me. Keep this in mind. When I was in nursing school and we were going through our clinicals, we would get paired with a nurse at the hospital.
Like a preceptor.
There you go. She was my preceptor. Think about that. She was my preceptor. She had been a nurse for over 30 years, and then she comes and apply at a job, and who the boss? Okay. So that nurse, she bullied me. She bullied me. She challenged me. It was a lot of audacity kind of moments. It was a lot of things that tried to break me. And I really felt like she felt some kind of way. And sure enough, when I eventually left that role, guess who landed in that role?
She did.
She
wanted it all along.
All along, yeah. But I went higher after that. Yeah, I was way higher.
You can have it.
Exactly.
That's why I left it.
Eventually, I did have an opportunity many years later to go back. And when I saw that nurse, I said, you know, you bullied me. You made me feel like this. And she said, well, you know, I was trying to make you better. You know, and I wanted you to be sharper because I knew how strong you were.
Excuse.
Yeah. She never did become an owner of anything, but hey. Yeah, there were always, you know, they say that if you want to know how well you're doing, check your hater. Check your hater bucket. If you don't have any haters in the bucket, you ain't doing that well.
Yeah. If
So
ain't
you gotta
nobody
expect
discussing you, you're not the topic.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. And then last question would be, for the nurse who knows she has more inside of her but keeps saying, I'm not ready, what is she really afraid of?
Oh, people do have fear of success. Yeah, I had a nurse recently that tells me, she said, she was on one of the calls and she says, I'm just not ready. I filled out the application to start my own business. I've done everything. I've been a nurse over 20 years. And she said, I just don't know what it is. I'm just not ready. I said, so you got the whole application ready and all you have to do is push the button?
You still not ready?
I said, I'm going to call you to push the button nurse. And tonight I challenge you, push the button. Shauna, that's for you. Push the button. She pushed the button. Today she's a home health agency owner. And she is so excited that she pushed that button and she's got her first client. So it takes somebody else to just push you. So please surround yourself with people that will push you. Yes. If you are around a bunch of people that just keep saying, yes, you're doing great. Yes, you're around the wrong crowd. You have to be around people who's going to push you and help you to reach your level of greatness. And that's what we do at my company, where we train nurses how to become home health entrepreneurs, teaching them how to run compliant businesses and giving them the language of a CEO.